All right, Love, we get some breaking news from CNN this morning. Vice President J.D. Vance will host a secret meeting to discuss the administration's handling of the Epstein files. This cover-up coordination meeting is going to happen at the Naval Observatory, J.D. Vance's residence, which, by the way, allows them to get far away from the press corps and far away from Donald Trump. The attendees include Vance, White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, Attorney General Pam Bondi, Trump's personal lawyer turned Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, and FBI Director Kash Patel. Lovett, CNN says the focus of the meeting will be crafting a unified response to the Epstein story. But isn't the biggest problem for these guys Donald Trump's mouth?
I think they have two huge problems. Problem number one is Donald Trump's mouth. Problem number two is a unified story is exactly their problem. That's exactly what they don't need. The fact that the Attorney General, the Deputy Attorney General, and the head of the FBI is going to meet with all these political people in secret, no longer, at the observatory is why this story won't go away. When Bill Clinton bumped into Loretta Lynch on the tarmac, they turned it into a huge fucking scandal. But now you have these political appointees and what is meant to be independent leadership of the Justice Department meeting secretly to talk about their collective strategy on what should be a purely investigative legal question out of the Justice Department. And so it just means that whatever decision comes out of that, the story doesn't go away.
Yeah, it smells weird. I did notice that Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino is not scheduled to attend. Remember, Dan was so mad at Pam Bondi about the handling of the Epstein files that he had to take a mental health day. I think this is when you were on vacation. Yes. Family of Epstein victim Virginia Giuffre issued a statement asking why none of the victims of Epstein's crimes will be represented. Great question. Should note that J.D. Vance's comms director called the CNN story pure fiction and said, quote, there was never a supposed meeting scheduled at the vice president's residence to discuss Epstein's strategy. It's very
Leave
specific.
some options. Leave some outs.
Yeah.
Leave some outs.
So it sounds like the main decision they're going to make at this meeting is whether or not to release the transcript and audio from Todd Blanche's interview with Ghislaine Maxwell. Remember, Ghislaine Maxwell helped Epstein groom young girls as young as 14. She abused many herself. She's now serving a 20-year sentence. Todd Blanche, the deputy AG, interviewed Maxwell. This whole thing is shady for a million reasons. Like, she was recently moved to a minimum security prison. I'd like to know why. That almost never happens for a sex offender like her. We don't know what promises Todd Blanche made to her. But clearly what this, as you said, is a political cabal with the Attorney General's team is debating is whether releasing this information helps Donald Trump politically. And sort of to that end, I wanted to play you a clip from my guy Alex Jones offering his take on any possible Maxwell testimony.
Here's the issue with that. She's in prison for human trafficking. And you've got these lawyers connected to Epstein saying months ago, Alan Dershowitz, Trump better pardon her. And even before Elon came out and said, hey, Trump's on the list, you're never going to see it, which then has a lot more credibility now because of this. It doesn't mean Trump did anything wrong, but he's implicated. He's embarrassed by it. The issue with Ghislaine Maxwell is she's in prison for decades. So you can't trust somebody to testify who has already not implicated other people, but now that she's convicted in prison, maybe she'll say that I was involved. But I'm being sarcastic. But
right.
my point is that pressure mounts for Ghislaine Maxwell to be released to testify before Congress. I am of the thought that full disclosure is the way to go.
Yeah.
I want you to know that I watched this whole interview. At one point, Alex Jones is just ripping a cigarette.
Yeah, and also there was what sounded like something like a tiny burp. That did come from the recording. And just look, Alex Jones he's one of the greats. He's been in the audio game longer than us. But hey, try this. And then you have Tim Dillon there, and Tim Dillon, who's...
I should say he's a comedian and a podcaster, and that's about a 2-week-old conversation.
Yeah, but man, Tim Dillon is so funny and just a testament. There's a lot of ways to be gay. Yeah, you don't have to take Alex Jones's word for it. The prosecutors that went after Ghislaine Maxwell said at the time that she was not trustworthy. She wasn't honest or accountable for her crimes. She's in jail for sex trafficking. The prison she's been transferred to is for nonviolent offenders, called Club Fed. It's where Elizabeth Holmes went. It's where Jen Shah went.
Just one drop of blood.
Just one drop of blood. But sex trafficking is a violent crime. She participated in violent crimes against girls. And now they've sent her to this cushy place. We don't know why. And they're already leaking that actually out of these conversations with Todd Blanche, She said she never saw anything incriminating about Trump.
Earlier today, like a minute before we came in here, ABC News reported that Maxwell said nothing harmful about Trump during her 9 hours worth of interviews with Blanche. We don't know what Blanche asked.
We don't know what
he asked about Donald Trump. We don't know. Clearly it's a leak. But I mean, I guess the question is like whether Alex Jones, people like that who are foaming at the mouth about Epstein for years, will accept just the Maxwell testimony and move on.
I don't think so. I don't think you can. Like, it's so she knows where her bread is buttered here. Like, it's been telegraphed to her so clearly, or maybe even directly by Todd Blanche in the part of the conversation that wasn't recorded, which we'll never know, that she knows that her ticket to freedom is Donald Trump. She will do. I mean, any of us would. You're in jail for 20 years.
Of course.
You could. There's a glimmer of hope that this corrupt president who's implicated in your terrible crimes could save you. You'll say anything.
Anything. And so one other data point on this is the House Oversight Committee subpoenaed 10 people demanding closed-door depositions about this issue. Their list includes 6 former attorneys general, sorry, I should say, 2 former FBI directors spanning the Trump, Obama, and Bush administration, as well as Hillary Clinton herself and Bill Clinton. It did not include Alex Acosta, the former U.S. attorney who gave Jeffrey Epstein this outrageously lenient deal in 2008, 2009, when he was first prosecuted for being a pedophile. CNN's also reporting that the White House wants to know if Todd Blanche should hold a press conference or maybe do an interview with Joe Rogan. I mean, of course they should do these things, but you do have to get your facts straight.
Yeah, there's nothing. I just don't know what they could. They've made their bed and now they have to sleep in it because there's no independence of the Justice Department, so nothing they can say will be taken at face value. They've decided they're not releasing any of the records that seem to have existed before they came into office. Maybe we'll get the audio of this Todd Blanche meeting or the transcripts of it, but nobody can take that at face value. So he's really created a trap for himself. I don't know how he gets out of it. I don't think it goes away.
Also, there's apparently 15 hours of footage that Steve Bannon filmed with him and Jeffrey Epstein that he shot back in 2019. Now, it's been described in the press as more like PR or media training for Epstein or some attempt to whitewash his image. But has DOJ subpoenaed that information? Hey, Kash Patel, call your buddy Steve Bannon. Yeah,
look, there's a lot. Who knows what's in it, but everything should be released. We're still getting new information all the time. The Times reported yesterday these creepy fucking photos of
oh my god
of the inside of the art at dinner at Jeffrey Epstein's house. There was a dangling woman's bride from the ceiling.
Yes,
and cameras in the bedroom of bed facing the couch facing the bed.
And a first edition of Lolita. A book about a man raping a young woman. Yes, and then there were photos of all sorts. The Donald Trump and Epstein photo is framed and on a table, right? I mean, the people he thought were important or powerful all laid out.
And Pope John Paul II caught some strays. Caught some no evidence he went to the island.
Yeah, not good. A lot of people went to that house and they should not have. So, Lovett, earlier this morning, the Washington Post ran a piece with the headline, How Trump Blunted the Far-Right Furor Over Jeffrey Epstein. This article argues that the Trump administration succeeded in pushing the MAGA world to back off their Epstein obsession. The Post came to this conclusion by looking at 500,000 social media posts in June and July from 450 right-wing and conservative influencers. Then they use AI to see which ones mentioned Epstein or Maxwell. The analysis, which we'll put a chart of it up here, found that Trump largely succeeded in changing the narrative by accusing Barack Obama of treason.
Sure.
But I do think the question is, just because the MAGA influencer class stops talking about something, does that mean average voters forget, or can Democrats keep it in the news?
I remember when there was this virus or computer worm that was spreading, and there were stories that maybe it was because the Israelis had planted a bug in Iranian centrifuges. Stuxnet.
Yeah.
And it actually broke containment and went wide and became uncontainable. This started as a classic, perfect right-wing conspiracy. It has all of the elements of a story that won't go away for Democrats. Sort of strange allegations, the refusal to produce evidence. There's always a cover-up. There's more to be learned. They won't tell us the truth. Bill Clinton on the tarmac with Loretta Lynch. Bill Clinton apparently is one of these birthday letters. We have no idea. And then all of a sudden, the story broke containment, and it started affecting them. It started hitting Republicans, and they can't they can't put the lid back on it. Yeah, a bunch of influencers will follow the leader and be the ventriloquist dummy for Trump and talk about Obama for a couple days. But Alex Jones is not going to stop. Joe Rogan's not going to stop.
Right.
And the story's not going to stop. We have now depositions coming. We know that there are files, like Pam Bondi is sitting on a bunch of information. There was a ton of reporting coming about
Ro Khanna's
this.
trying to force a vote.
Ro Khanna and Massey are forcing a vote. And by the way, we have reporting that they had 1,000 people at the FBI going through documents, creating a new Epstein list. That's 1,000 witnesses.
Yeah.
So they can't make this go away by trying to change the subject. Honestly, people are too interested in it.
Yeah, I totally. I think that the MAGA world was far more willing to be critical of the Trump administration when they thought this was a Pam Bondi problem. But then Donald Trump started talking, and he made it a Donald Trump problem, and I think it made it more complicated for them. This, accusing Obama of treason and all that crap, definitely gives these, the most cynical people in politics, like Charlie Kirk or Benny Johnson, whose entire livelihood is tied to Donald Trump, it gives them something else to talk about. But I do think the risk for a Charlie Kirk is that he has people to the right of him, like Nick Fuentes or Candace Owens, who are not going to stop talking about this. And they're just going to assert MAGA is dead. Trump is a liar. He's covering up the Epstein files. It's because he's in there. There's just this body of evidence out there that suggests something really shady is going on. And then Democrats, we have some agency here. We can keep the focus on this.
Yeah, it also feels as though Trump is actually coming face to face with the difference between old right-wing media and new right-wing media.
Yep.
Fox News will take their assignment from their assignment editor in Trump. They will, you go look at Fox, they're going to do hours on Obama, they're going to do hours on Sydney Sweeney. They're not going to touch Epstein or touch it as little as they can. But that's not true of podcasts. That's not true of the new right online. Some of them will follow orders, but some of them won't. And it's a competition. It's a market, and people want this, and they will find it.
Yeah, check out at Decoding Fox News. It's a clip on Twitter. This person did an amazing cut down of the way Fox covered this story from 2022 through 2024, and now have just completely moved on and are talking about it completely differently. Look, one reason why this whole story blew up is because the right wing has a vast media ecosystem, especially on YouTube. The Republicans are killing us on YouTube. They have massive accounts. Benny Johnson at TPUSA had the fastest growing YouTube channel in the last 3 months. He added 2 million subscribers. So that's why we are all constantly begging you guys, please subscribe to Pod Save America on YouTube. When you subscribe to Pod Save America, you help us surface good information into the algorithm so that when normal people are searching for political news, they get our stuff and not insane garbage from Ben Shapiro or TPUSA or the Daily Wire.
Yeah, and if we don't hit 1 million subscribers by the end of August, what's going to happen, Tommy?
Elijah.
Out.
Peace, Elijah. Thanks for watching.